Have you ever thought about working at a weed dispensary? Whether you smoke weed or not, thinking, hey, that sounds like an easy job. Or if you're like a mega stoner and that's like your dream job. Or something that I used to come across with was when I would be inside one and the person helping me on the other side of the counter, I would know more about what was going on than they did. So I always felt like I belonged on the other side of the counter, like we should be like switched, because they didn't know anything. So, anyways, this is gonna be my experience working as a bud tender and how I got fired over some bullshit and a couple other things in the industry, or at least at that time, that I kind of want to expose from my experience. So, as always, I want to thank you if you're coming back to my channel for this. If it's your first time, welcome. This is like mainly what my channel is about. Just, you know, all things, I have a catalog of stuff that you can go through. It's all about trying to be better than how I was. That's my main goal, okay? So I appreciate everybody, and if I could ask one thing, if you could please subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it. I promise it's not a thing to get you to ask for money or for me to ask for money or any weird shit like that, but I would just appreciate it. I've never really asked, um, but I'm just throwing it out there. If not, whatever. I'm still going to tell the story. So I'm going to shut up now about that and get into it. So this took place in 2018, and it was around Mother's Day. I can specifically remember the day that XXX Tentacion got murdered. It was in that time period. I was working there, like in that time period. So let me tell you how I got the job in the first place. It was fucking sketchy as hell. Okay, I went on Craigslist because, I'm a 90s kid who, like, I don't know, Craigslist was just like a thing. Like, I don't know. Now, like, I listen to a lot of stories and stuff. Like, I would never fucking use Craigslist again. And I'm thankful that, like, it was always, like, legit, but you just can't trust anybody these days, honestly. I'm surprised nothing bad happened to me, but I find the listing on Craigslist and I call a number and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, blah 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 blah." Like they take down like my name and stuff, and then one day I get a call. I remember because it was out of nowhere. Like I had just gotten over to my homie's house, and then I got a call saying, "Hey, can you come in?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," and I was all excited. Like I've smoked weed like for majority of my life, and I had, like I said, I had always, I had already done, like, I had worked in the industry in other areas before. I mean, not legally, like forever, but then also for a couple of delivery services and stuff. So like, it wasn't like I was like brand new to the shit. You know what I mean? So like I was doing deliveries when it wasn't decriminalized federally or whatever the fuck when that happened, and that screwed me out of a job. Actually, that's a whole nother video. So they tell me, yeah, can you get to the shop by this time, blah blah blah, and it's like it's only like 20 minutes away from where I live. Like it was very local. So I was like, yeah, sure. So you know I go and I get there, and the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this is a scam. They're not going to know. I'm going to get there and they're going to be like, "What? What?" And it's like someone wanted my information. Like I swear to God, that's what I was thinking. I was like somebody got me for my information. Like they just were, I don't know. Like I didn't catch on to it and blah blah blah, and I'm going to get there and they're going to have no idea what I'm talking about. So, I get there and I walk into like the little area once you walk in the door, and I say like, you know, my name and why I'm there, and to my fucking surprise, the security guard's like, yeah, come on back. So they buzz me back and they let me back in. And this place, all right, I worked at three different places during this time, okay? And like they were all in the same shopping center, so it'll be very easy for me to talk about all of them. Like, so the first place I was at, okay, this place was non-stop. Like, it was a straight up trap house. Like, I mean, it was a business obviously, but like and like the shifts are 13-hour shifts. So you're working from 10 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock at night. No, like now, like I've spoken to some people that like work like 4 or like 8 hour shifts or something like that, and it's like it sounds so much more manageable than like when I was there in 2018. It was just like 13-hour shifts back to back to back to back. Like that was what they expected. You got paid in cash at the end of every day, and they would give you $10 for lunch every day on top of that. So, and you could, and like, you know, I'll get to it was different at different spots, okay? So, this first place, though, like, literally, the guy tells me, all right, man, well, we're just gonna throw you into the fire, or throw you into the deep end, one of the two things. And I literally told him, I'm like, luckily for you, that's like the only way that I've ever like gotten to do anything. So like that's not like super intimidating or whatever, you know. Like I'm used to it by now. And they're like, all right, for sure. So just in that first day, from 4 o'clock, I didn't even work a whole shift. So I think I went in at 4 and I worked from 4 to 12. Okay. Like nonstop, there's somebody, like as soon as someone walks out, someone comes in, like whatever. And like just in that day, I recognize and I get recognized by like at least five people. Like even the people who worked there were like, damn, you know everybody. And because it was like somebody's mom, and then someone else, just because of, you know, I've been around in this area for a minute and how many schools I went to and all that shit, and just like, you know, having connections, whatever, that they were just like, damn, dude, who don't you know? I was like, I don't know, man. Like, and they were just kind of like laughing at it. And that place, like literally, like so that was the first day. And then like that was like where I started out at. I think I was there for like a couple of weeks, and every day from 10 a.m. to midnight, there was never not a person coming through. Like you couldn't even sit down, or the only time that you could sit down was when we would be packing pre-roll joints, and we would just sit down, and then we'd have these little cone things, like kind of like what you would put like oil in a car with. Like you would put that into like the pre-roll, and then you just like put the shake in there. So like we would do that, and you know, it was that was where I worked at my first spot. That like I was like, damn, okay, like this is like a job. Like, you know, like I actually was kind of like taught, like, you know, I know that there's construction workers and people that do like hard manual labor, but like just for like what you think it would be and what it is, like it was more than what I thought it would be, but it wasn't like it was too intense or anything. So like, you know, I'm there. It's like that every day. Every day that I'm there, from like the moment we open until the moment we close, like just people in the lobby, room or whatever, like, you know, which is good for a business, I guess, you know, that's what you want. But I gotta admit, like it got like tiring, you know. And I'll include like a thumbnail. I'll try to make a thumbnail of, there was a guy that passed out from a dab and ended up on World Star, and I'm gonna see if I can put that as the thumbnail or enter it in this video somehow, because like it's pretty funny. because that's what we used to do. We would give people free dabs for like their first time or like whatever. Like that was like a thing, like, you know. So I'm working there, and then I get a call saying, "Hey, do you like we're gonna need you to go to another shop?" And I was just like, okay. Like I was kind of confused. Like I thought I was just kind of like, well, what did I do? You know, did I do something? And they were like, no, no, no. They're like, it's the same owner. It's just it's in the same parking lot as you've been going. You just have to go down like downstairs and go down, and there's another spot. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So this next place was really tiny, and it was very slow. Or like, I mean, I think compared to that other place, it was like very slow. Like fuck, man. Like it was like a place like it made me think about when I used to work security and trying to like not look at my watch for as long as possible. Like it was just like boring. Like not nobody really liked going there. I guess I don't know. I had never been there personally. I didn't even know it was there. So after that, I'm there for like 2 days, and then after that, they call me and they want to move me again, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, all right, like where am I going now? And they tell me you're going to a right next door. There's another place, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, all right, cool. And this spot, fine, like this was like the chillest of all three places for sure. Like when I when I did my interview, I literally smoked a blunt with the staff, and that was my interview. And it was just like, all right, can you start tomorrow? Like, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, and like, all right, and like I was like wearing like a buttoned up shirt. I was all overdressed and shit. Like I literally just went in, smoked a blunt, and came out. Like, and that was it. So like that place was it was like a mixture between the two, where like people would come in and we would have spurts of like people coming in, but there was also times where people wouldn't come in, and we would just be chilling. Like we had like couches in there, and I'll never forget like my very first day, somebody had a laptop, and they had their laptop on top of one of the glass containers, and they were watching a movie, and everybody was watching, even the security guard was watching it. And they're like I'm like I was doing something, and I came over, and then they're like I was like, what is this? And they're like, oh, it's Deadpool. And I was like, oh, like I've never seen that. And then they're like, what? Especially the fucking guy who ran the place. He's like, what? Who was like maybe like a year or two older than me, very same age. And this fool, the movie had been on for an hour, and he goes, no, 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 and he rewinds it all the way to the beginning, and he's like, we're watching this again. And then he like sparks up a blunt with like, we used to get those dablicator things, and we would like wrap it around like blunts and pre-rolls and all that shit. So he was like, nah, man, you gotta watch this. So that was the first time that I watched Deadpool. It was like that. So right then I was like, all right, this place is gonna be cool. Like it was just like it was a lot different. Like like I said, just it was almost like the too hot, too cold, just right. Like there was like so many fucking people, then there was like no people, and then there was like the perfect amount. And the people who worked there were cool, but like when you work with stoners, you have to remember that you're working with stoners. So remember that. And not always too. So there's some people, just like there's bartenders that don't drink. Like there were some people that didn't smoke, but for the majority of the people smoke. Okay. So like something that I didn't like was there was a time where they handed me this machine, and I saw them filling up jars, and they hand me this machine, and it's a label making machine, and they go, yeah, can you just like think up some names that are like, some something that's popular right now, like, like, and they gave me a couple examples, like, like Gucci OG or like, Versace, something like designer. And I was like thinking to myself, like, what? Like, what? Like, that's not how it works. Like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, what? I don't know. Just as someone who smokes, like, I was very, like, thrown off of that method or whatever of just like making shit up, like, and it'd be like, oh, is this indica, or is it, like, it's like they didn't even know, you know. And I definitely did not like that. I did like that we could smoke there. So like literally, like if someone came in, like we could be smoking a blunt, and like I could be like serving somebody. And I have a story from when I worked there that I'm not going to include in here, but it has to do with when I got kicked out of school, and the security guard that was supposed to be working but was not working, that things would have ended up differently. He ended up coming in. So that's a whole nother video. Okay. So they do that, and I remember I didn't like that. And another thing that they made me do that I didn't like was, at the end of the day, the like manager or whoever, they would like go and they would look at all the jars, and they would go, hey, can you condense the OGs? And I was like, what does that mean? Like, they're using all this, like, I've been in the game for fucking like 10 years, over a decade at this point, and they're using these terms that I'm not familiar with. And he's like, yeah, can you just like go around and, like, if there's two jars that are like half full that like look kind of similar, like just pour one into the other, so that way we have a full jar that we can use for something else. I was like, what? Like, and like, I went along with it because, that was my, how I was making money. So, but I did not like that shit. Didn't like it. And one of the last things that, it's pretty comical, honestly, is the fucking manager was so, like, cheap. This fool wanted, like, we had a rig for like people to smoke out of, like for us to give dabs to. And I remember he wanted someone to clean it. And like, if you smoke and have ever had like a glass or whatever, there's like it looks like a shampoo bottle kind of or whatever, and there's like an orange one and like a blue one maybe or something. This fool wanted, if you were the one who cleaned the bong, he wanted you to use the stuff and, like, shake it up and, get everything. And he wanted you to put the dirty stuff, the dirty water and everything from inside the bong that you just cleaned, to pour it back into the little shampoo bottle that it came out of, which in my opinion, that ruins the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, I did not understand that. And one other thing that you will find comical is, I wasn't used to, like, I didn't know what was like right and wrong or whatever. And I can remember a day that, like, these cops came into like, they just walked in. And when they walked in, I freaked out because I've been in clinics that have been like raided and shit, and like I just, like, I don't know, it triggered something. So I ran into the bathroom, and I had like I think I had two oxys on me or something, and I ate them. And then I came out, and when I come out, all they were doing was fucking collecting the money for the day. Like, I was like, damn it, dude. Like, and then I would come to find out that they would come every day, and that was like what they would do. They would come collect the money like that, and I don't know. So, and another funny thing is, this place that I worked at used to be like some sort of brothel type place. So every now and then we would get some fucking weirdo coming in saying that they wanted to see like a madam or something. Like, and we'd have to just be like, no, that's not what this is. Like, and I was just, the first time it happened, I was like, what did he ask for? Like, what? So, anyways, I'll get to the bullshit of how I got fired, okay? Because, like, literally, like, it's like, I guess I should have known better, but like, I covered all my bases. So at the time, I had a separate job, and it was working for this real estate person. And it was only 2 days, it was only on the weekends, and it was only like a couple hours on the weekends. They'd pay me cash under the table. That was cool. And like, I made it very known that I had that job, okay? And there was times that like I told them like, yo, I got to work my other job so I can come in, like, and they would work with me, and like it was fine. So like that was something like that was coming up where it was going to overlap. Like I was scheduled to work at the clinic, but I had to do the real estate, and I had been doing the real estate before this job, so I was kind of like committed to it, like doing it until something happened. That's another video. Fuck, man. So like the other job, I was I was like committed to it. So I tell the manager, the main fucking guy, I tell him on like a Tuesday, and I tell him, yo, I have that other job, and he's like, yeah, 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 and I'm like, well, on like this Saturday, like I'm not gonna be able to be here until maybe like 2 o'clock. Like I can't open because they want you to work the whole shift. Like there was no come in halfway, whatever. It was like you're either working the whole day or not at all. So I was like telling them like I have to work my other job, but I'll come in as soon as I can afterwards. And they were like, yeah, yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's all good. And I had done it before, and we all communicated on WhatsApp, that little app, messaging app, whatever. So the day in question comes around, and it comes around, and the other job is a lot more physical. I don't like have my phone, like I can't just pull my phone out of my pocket any time I want. So like as I'm like working or whatever, like I guess like my phone had rang a couple times or something. I look and I have all these WhatsApp notifications, and they're going, where are you, with like five exclamation points and question marks. Where are you? Where are you? This isn't cool. How could you do this? And I was like, what? I was like, and I explained. I was like, I told Josh. He was the guy that ran the place. I was like, I told Josh about this, that this was what was going to happen, and like they just told, he didn't remember. And that's what I meant when I said at the earlier, like, be careful when you work with stoners. You have to remember you're working with stoners. I should have fucking reminded him every single day just to make sure, but I thought that I had my bases covered. So that ends up blowing up into like a thing where like they're like heated about it, and they're like, all right, well, that's a no call no show, man, and we don't like that around here. And I was just apologizing because I didn't want to lose the job. Like that was like a job I had wanted for like a long time and shit, and I was good at it too. I'd been selling weed for forever, so like doing it legally like was nothing different. So I didn't want to lose that. But they end up like I don't come in that day. They're like, don't just don't even bother coming in. And then the very next day I'm supposed to work, the very next day. And when I'm like getting ready to leave for work, I, of course, like literally it was like less than an hour till I had to work, I get a message on WhatsApp, and it says, hey Patrick, or no, it says, hey, um, I heard about your no call no show the other day, and we're gonna have to part ways. Good luck on your next endeavor, Patrick. And to add insult to injury, they spelled my name Patric. They didn't even put a K on it. Like who the fuck spells Patrick like that? I've never, in a million years, never have seen somebody spell their shit like that. And all the weird names that happen these days and stuff, that I was like, and so it led me to believe, like, damn, like they gave a shit, such little of a shit about me. They didn't even care about spelling my name right, or even knowing my name for the whole time I've been here, for like fucking 4 months. So I literally, like, that was it, and I got fired, and I was out of the industry. But something that you notice is people, those places are constantly, like, it's very rare that you go to those places. Back then it was rare for you to go to a place and go back and for all the same people to be there. It was almost always brand new people. So I feel like it's kind of a thing they do is they like get people, use them for a little bit, and then they wash them out and just like send them on their way, you know. That's how it felt for me, I guess, you know. Like the ironic thing is they could have fired me for so much worse shit. Like I was like there's so many cameras. I was letting people in that didn't have IDs or medical cards that were just like the homies, and I would just like buzz them in because and like I was meeting I'd be like, "Yo, I need to smoke a cigarette." And I'd be like texting someone and I'd go like fucking do a deal in the parking lot where there's like cameras everywhere, and they get me for a no call no show where it's like there's like fucking like a handful of other things they could have legitimately fired me for, and I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, so that's the ironic part. So, anyways, that's my experience. I hope you guys like the story, and yeah, man, thank you for coming to my channel. I appreciate you.